Good morning. I'm recording this video to sort of respond to the first week and what we've been doing during the first week. And I first wanted to say that our discussion boards I think are going really well. We started out with an enrollment of about 20, but I think about 10 or 11 of us are participating actively, and so that's great. I'm very excited about that. It's kind of the norm for online classes. You get a lot of people to sign up from the beginning, and then a few people drop, and so I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But I am really appreciative of those of you who are participating actively. You know who you are, and I've given some of you guys some responses. According to what your level of participation is, I've kind of given you some Facebook responses to that. So if you have any specific questions about your level of response or how you might more deeply engage in the class, please feel free to email me or message me on Facebook when you see me online. So I'll move right on to the event postings that you guys put up for the end of last week. A couple of you guys did do the video posts, and I was really glad to see you. I think it was Kiana and Kim. So that was really, really cool, and I really look forward to more of you guys trying that in the future. But of course, it's not required. I appreciated those two responses. Kim's, yours was a little bit long, and Kiana's, yours was a little bit short, and that was just fine with me. I didn't mind listening to Kim for 2 minutes longer or Kiana for 30 seconds shorter, because I gave you that range of time between 2 and 5 minutes. So Kiana's, yours was pretty much right on. And Kim, if you decide to do it again next week, just kind of whittle it down just a little bit. And I'm not doing that because I don't want to read more than 500 words, or I don't want to listen to you for more than 5 minutes, but I do have to listen to several of you guys, and I'm sort of trying to push you into thinking about editing and to thinking about revising in a sort of less formal way than line edits and word by word revisions, because I think that if I give you an assignment of 3 to 500 words or 2 to 5 minutes, that you guys should think through that and ask yourself what can be covered in that amount of time. So it's sort of a challenge to you, but it's also just sort of to keep my sanity so that I'm not having to read 11 2,000 word entries a week. I teach more than one class, and so it can get a little bit hectic, as you can imagine. But so far so good on those cool video responses. I was very excited to see you. As you were talking, I saw you guys using your hands, and you're really getting into it, and I really felt like we were sort of in each other's face. Like I was listening to you talk, and at certain times I just sort of wanted to respond back right away. I wanted to say, but wait, Kiana, what about? And so I sort of did that in the comment section of each of those videos. And if you guys are interested to see sort of how that worked, I encourage you to go watch Kiana or go watch Kim and see what they had to say. And it will relieve you, because all three of us get on here and kind of use our hands, and we say, and I mean, and like, and it's not like we're professional speakers or professional communicators. We're just on here talking like we would to you if you were in our face. So I thought it was really cool and a really neat way for us to sort of interact without being physically present with one another. And so that was sort of the good things. A lot of you guys wrote really, really intelligent and thoughtful responses, and I said so in the reactions that I posted on Facebook. And again, you guys are more than welcome to go back and look on the wall, the events wall, and see sort of some of the responses that I gave other students if you are interested in sort of improving your own performance, or just kind of getting the pulse of what the other people in the community are going through, and how we're all responding to each other, and specifically how I'm responding to you. A couple of the things that I saw repeatedly was, and I'm talking about sort of not negative things, but things that can be improved on, were the use of sources. And so lots of you guys did it really, really well, and I commented and said that you were doing it really well, but several of you guys didn't quite hit the mark, and so I want to re-articulate exactly what I'm wanting with these event postings. And so besides the 3 to 500 words or 2 to 5 minute specifications, you're also supposed to use two sources. And when I say use two sources, I don't just mean that you're supposed to give me two quotes and then talk about them or whatever, or ramble about them or whatever, which most of you guys didn't do. But what I really mean is that you're supposed to pull a quote from part 1 of the week, or pull an idea, or pull a passage, or pull a thought from part 1 of the week. It doesn't necessarily have to be a direct quote. And then pull a quote or a thought or an idea or a concept from part 2 of the week, and then see if you can sort of put those together in some way and sort of synthesize them, is the word that I've been using. How are these two quotes or ideas comparable or compatible with one another? How do they challenge one another? What kind of idea can you gain when you put 1 plus 1 together? What's the thing that they add up to? And so a lot of you guys were able to do that, and several of you did it really well. And if you didn't, I sort of just pushed you in a direction to sort of try to make you get there a little bit better. I'll say again about the sources that the two sources are supposed to be from the syllabus reading. So I want you to pull from part 1 and part 2 of the week from the syllabus and not from the extra stuff that we added, like the Beyonce video or the Shelley Wright stuff or other things like that. Like you can pull from the Sojourner Truth video, for example, because we also read that, and you could pull from the India RE video or the Ani DeFranco video, though most of you guys said that you really didn't like it, and I understand that. She's kind of an acquired taste, like dry red wine. But I would say that if you're going to give those quotes from part 1 or the ideas or the concepts from part 1 and part 2, to pull those from the syllabus and to make sure that we know what you're talking about. So some of you guys were giving me ideas that were present in the reading, but you didn't point specifically to the article or to the author that those ideas were coming from. And so just to keep us all informed of where you're basing your ideas from, or to whom or to what article you're responding, go ahead and give us either a title or an author. And then several of you guys gave page numbers, which was great, because if I sort of had a question about the way that you were reading the text, or if I wanted to sort of see the context that you got your comment out of, then I could go back into the text to the exact page and the exact location that you gave me. So I would suggest that in the weeks to come, you guys focus on making sure that you're citing, and I don't mean by MLA, although if you like MLA or APA, you're more than welcome to use those formats, but just to give me an idea of who you're sort of responding back to. So you can just say, in Kimmel's article, he brings up the idea of gender fluidity, and I'm responding to that. So you don't have to give me a specific page number, but just so I know that you were reading Kimmel when you had this thought, so that I can sort of get in your mind and sort of get in your context a little bit. So that was kind of what I wanted to say about the two sources that you guys are using. Most of you guys did a really, really good job, and those of you who didn't, I sort of commented on it and said, this is what you need to improve, or this is how you need to change this in the future. So to give you a better idea of where you stand in the course, I told lots of you guys at the first that I was going to do grades in a kind of non-traditional way, and as you'll notice in the syllabus, there's no real breakdown of grades. And so I've decided to implement a grading system to sort of, I know that you guys like to know how many points this is worth and how many points you scored and if you're making an A, B, or C, and so I went ahead and implemented a grading policy. And if anybody has a problem with that, because I realize I didn't put it on the syllabus, then please email me and we can have that discussion, or post it to the general discussion board wall. But I'm trying to keep it pretty fair, and so what I've decided to do is for each week's discussion board participation or engagement, I'm going to assign 10 points. And so if you are actively engaged, then you scored that 10 points. And if you're not actively engaged, then you scored more like a 7 or a 5. Or if you aren't able to participate for some reason that week, then you would score a 0. And so just so I can kind of give you an idea of your level of engagement so that you know where you stand, and you can answer your own questions like, am I participating enough? Is my participation intellectual enough? You can answer your own questions by just simply looking and seeing, well, I made a 10 out of 10, so I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And if you made a 10 out of 10, then just keep following your intuition, and you're on the right track. You're doing exactly what I want you to do. If you made more like a 7 out of 10, then I probably gave you a comment when I gave comments to everyone as to why that was. And if you have a more specific question, then look me up on Facebook or give me an email and we can chat that through. And so to assign a grade to the events discussions, the end of the week event wall discussion that I'm talking about, I went ahead and made those worth 20 points. And I made them worth more points to encourage you to do the editing and the revising that I'm asking you to do, to keep it within the confines of the 2 to 500 words or the 2 to 5 minutes or what have you. I'm sorry, 3 to 500 words. So 20 points for the discussion wall, and what I'm looking for in the end of the week event wall, what I'm looking for in those event postings is that you're using two sources, and by using, I mean you're trying to put those two sources in conversation with one another, and you're trying to put those two sources in conversation with what you already believe, with the stereotypes that you see present in the world, with the way that you were raised, with the belief system that you encountered as a child and now as an adult. And so I'm asking you to really dig deep and to really haggle with and struggle with these readings as they come into contact with what you already believe, or what you already think is true, or what you already know is true. And so that's why I'm assigning those with a little bit more points. So 20 points for the event, end of the week event walls, and 10 points for the weekly participation. It's kind of how I'm doing it. So again, if you have any questions or comments or concerns about that, please address those to me directly.